Well, Lily, it's time for you to leave, I said. My mother-in-law, Sarah, raised her voice so loudly it could be heard over the sound of the waves. What do you mean? We're going on a luxury cruise together, right? I responded, but Sarah curled her lips into a nasty grin. Did you honestly think someone like you, who's worse than a maid, could join us on this trip? How ridiculous. You're just a clerk, a useless daughter-in-law who doesn't deserve to have fun. You can't vacation at the same level as us. How can you not understand that? I didn't argue. I've been bullied by her for so long without anyone standing up for me. I've given up. Sarah laughed and walked onto the ship in a cheerful mood. My father-in-law, Robert, and my husband Tom didn't say anything. I stared at them quietly, then waved and called out loudly, "Goodbye. Have a great trip." Sarah yelled back, but I ignored her. "Enjoy the best trip I've ever planned for you." Well, at least it's the best for me. It's full of surprises, especially a little revenge. You'll see what I mean when you get there. I'm Lily, a 38-year-old working wife. I'm a clerk at a mid-sized company, and I've been married to Tom for 7 years. We've been friends since school, lost touch after college, but met again by chance. We started dating a year later. Tom told me a secret early in our relationship. He's infertile. If we're together, we can't have kids, he said sadly. But I wasn't upset. I didn't really want children, and I believed we could still be happy without them. So even after 7 years of marriage with no kids, we're content as a couple. But our relationship with my in-laws is another story. We live right across from Tom's parents, and since Tom works for the company they run, we see them often. The problem is they're cold toward me. Sarah has always favored Tom and doesn't like me. She treats me like a burden and constantly tries to push household chores onto me. "Lily, I'm busy, so you can do the laundry and cleaning." "Oh, don't worry about cooking. I can't eat your food anyway." "I'm sorry, but I also work full-time, so I can't do it." "What? How dare you talk back to me? You're not good enough to be my son's wife. Pack your things and leave now." It gets worse with my father-in-law, Robert, who holds onto old-fashioned views. "When are you going to stop working, Lily? You're getting older, so you should have a baby soon. What kind of education did you have? You can have a happy home without kids, though. That's not the point. If you keep saying that, I'll call your company tomorrow and make you quit your job." My in-laws are stuck in the past, and it's exhausting. I try to stay polite, but they always respond even worse, so I just ignore them. Tom acts like he doesn't notice. He's easygoing and avoids conflict, but that doesn't always help. He doesn't want to upset his parents, so he ignores their behavior and sometimes even agrees with them. Honestly, most of the reason we don't have kids is because Tom can't have them. He asked me not to tell his parents, so I haven't. Still, it hurts that he doesn't stand up for me when they criticize me. Even so, I still love Tom. He's a good husband. He makes dinner when I come home late, and we always make time to go out on weekends. We both love traveling, and in our 7 years of marriage, we've seen many places together. One day, my husband Tom handed me a brochure. "Lily, don't you want to go on a luxury cruise?" I'd never been on a cruise before, though I had been on a ferry. "That sounds great, but we can't afford it right now." "Well, how about we plan for 2 years from now? Let's save up and work toward it." "Yeah, that makes sense. In 2 years, we should be able to save enough money. Let's do it then." From that moment on, Tom and I focused on saving money. We tried not to spend on anything unnecessary and did everything we could to save. But 6 months before the trip, my mother-in-law Sarah showed up unexpectedly. Hey, I heard we're going on a luxury cruise. Have you already booked it? If you don't hurry, you might not get a reservation." I was surprised by her sudden comment and asked, "How do you know we're going on a trip?" Tom, who was sitting in front of me and scratching his head, replied, "Oh, I told Mom. We're going to be gone for over 10 days, so she had to know." "Yeah, but if they know before we book it, they might want to come along." "I don't want that." I wanted to keep the trip a secret from my in-laws, but my mother-in-law kept talking. "Work's a bit busy, but it's okay to have some fun every now and then, right?" I couldn't believe it, but Sarah smiled and I asked, "Wait, are you planning on coming with us?" She gave me a sharp look. "What? Of course we're coming. My husband will be with me too." It was a bold move. I wanted this trip to be just for Tom and me, not with my in-laws. I looked at Tom, hoping he'd refuse, but he said casually, "I wonder when the last time we had a family trip was." I sighed helpless as he continued talking. After that, my in-laws started showing up more often, asking about the trip. I thought about asking Tom, who came up with the idea, to make the reservation, but he kept avoiding it, saying he was too busy with work. Then, about a month before the trip, something happened. Tom went out for a business dinner and didn't come back until well past midnight. I started worrying and grabbed the car keys to go pick him up. But just as I was about to leave, the front door opened forcefully. "I'm home. I'm tired. I'm going to bed," Tom said, tossing his jacket aside as he headed straight for the bathroom. I stayed up late, still worried, but Tom acted like nothing was wrong. Feeling lonely, I picked up his jacket and something fell out of the pocket. I quickly picked up the gift box and saw a small card wedged between the ribbon. Without thinking, I read the card. It had something unbelievable written on it. "Thank you always, Tom. I love you." A chill ran through me. A million questions filled my mind. Who was Tom with last night? Who gave him this gift? What does this message mean? I couldn't stop thinking about it. I spent a whole night in the living room, unable to sleep. The next morning, Tom woke up, yawning and acting casual. I showed him the gift box and the card. "What is this? Where were you last night? It wasn't a business meeting, was it?" Tom looked surprised, his eyes wide open. "No, it's not like that. It's just a thank you gift for helping her with work." "I see. That's quite an intense thank you, saying I love you," I said. Tom started stumbling over his words, trying to explain. "No, that's not it. It's just that." Frustrated, I decided to leave him and go to work. I was still uneasy, but I managed to get through the day. During lunch, I checked my phone and saw a bunch of missed calls from my in-laws. Just as I was getting annoyed, my mother-in-law, Sarah, called again. I had no choice but to pick up. "Hey, Lily, I heard you think Tom's cheating on you. Our son would never do something like that. Even if he did, it's just a man's nature." "Excuse me?" After Sarah said this, my father-in-law, Robert, grabbed the phone. "That's right. If anything, it's your fault for making him cheat. Tom only cheats because you don't have kids and work all the time. When you get home, apologize to him." But he hung up right after that. I had finally had enough. My in-laws had been turning me into the bad guy, and Tom had always sided with them, never defending me. I decided it was time to carry out the plan I'd been thinking about. Finally, the day of the luxury cruise arrived. My in-laws and Tom hopped into the car, smiling. I was going to drive them to the port, secretly excited for the trip. This was going to be a great one. I held back my laughter as I drove toward the port. It was surprisingly quiet and empty. I unloaded everyone's luggage and headed toward the pier. I could smell the sea. Tom was acting carefree and childish. Then my mother-in-law approached me with a big smile. "Thanks for making the reservation, Lily. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Please pick us up then." "What do you mean? We're going on a family trip with the 4 of us, right?" Sarah twisted her mouth into a nasty expression and said, "Oh, a daughter-in-law is just a stranger to us. Don't you get it? As long as you pay, that's all that matters." I didn't respond. My father-in-law and Tom were happily looking through travel magazines. Tom noticed my look, shrugged, and said without any shame, "It seems that way. By the way, I don't see the luxury cruise ship anywhere. Where is it?" Sarah started looking around, confused. "There don't seem to be any other passengers. Did you get the right location, Lily?" "Don't worry, just enjoy yourselves from here," I said as I led the 3 of them onto the boat. "Is this really the right ship?" my father-in-law muttered, looking at the small boat in front of us, which seemed full with just 10 people. I explained, "You'll transfer to the luxury cruise ship from here. It's a security measure," they said, "so don't worry. Now, get on. Hurry up." I made sure they got on the boat with their luggage. "Well, take care," I called to the boatmen as they left. "Goodbye, I wish you good luck." I waved with a big smile. I thought I heard my mother-in-law yelling, but I ignored it. After they disappeared beyond the horizon, I grabbed my things and headed back to the car. I hoped this would be a fun trip for them. Later, I returned home, gathered everything I had brought before marriage, and got it ready to move. Just then, my phone rang. It was my mother-in-law. "You. How dare you deceive us? There's no luxury cruise ship. Where are we?" She was so flustered that I couldn't help but laugh. After laughing for a while, I answered, "There was never a luxury cruise ship. My mother-in-law shouted something, but I continued. I knew you'd leave me behind, so I never made a reservation. Do you think you can get away with this? We'll call the police. My father-in-law's voice came through. The police? That's a bit much, don't you think? We're just in your wife's hometown. Did you meet Aunt Mel? Again, my mother-in-law yelled. What did you say? Aunt Mel. Your older sister, Mel. I talked to her, and she said to bring you there. She'll probably treat you well. Aunt Mel was a strong woman who had always been a mother figure to my mother-in-law. We got along well whenever we saw each other during family events. I had shared everything with Aunt Mel about my struggles with my in-laws and husband. As I expected, she was furious but agreed to help me. Aunt Mel will come to pick you up soon. Enjoy your time, I said, then ended the call. Soon, I moved into a new apartment closer to my work, which made commuting much easier. While moving, I collected evidence of Tom's affair, which was easy since he had been careless. By the time I finished moving, I had enough proof for a divorce case. With the help of a lawyer, I was able to successfully get a divorce and also received compensation for the emotional damage caused by the affair. The lawyer who met with my ex-husband Tom said he looked devastated. Aunt Mel, a well-known sports instructor in our community, had been working my in-laws and Tom hard all day, every day. They were now living the kind of life they had forced me to live. My in-laws' business had nearly collapsed and they had nowhere to go. That was no longer my problem. As for me, I had recently met a kind, understanding man who accepted me, my divorce, and everything that had happened. Once his work slows down, we planned to get married. Although my journey to happiness was long and difficult, I was looking forward to starting a new, happy life with someone who always puts me first.